Isn't it weird how you can remember every single word to a song from when you were a kid, but you have no idea where you just put your keys? In this explainer, we're going to dive deep into the amazing and yeah, sometimes super frustrating world of your memory.
Oh, you have. We've all been there. You shake their hand, you do the whole nice to meet you thing, and literally 10 seconds later, poof, it's gone. That name has just vanished into thin air. It's like our memory just loves to play these little tricks on us.
So why does that happen? Well, to figure out the glitches, we kind of have to understand the design first, right? So think of this as us opening up the user manual for your own personal memory machine. Let's start with the absolute basics. How in the world does a memory even get made in the first place?
Okay, so every single memory you have, from your first birthday party to what you ate for breakfast this morning, goes through 3 basic stages. Encoding, which is like hitting the record button. Storage, which is saving the file, and retrieval, which is finding and playing that file back. If there's a hiccup at any one of these stages, that memory could be lost for good. Let's follow that journey.
So how does that journey from just experiencing something to actually having a memory of it really work? Well, a really popular model breaks our memory down into a system with 3 different storage departments, and each one has a very specific job to do.
So, the very first stop for all the data coming in from your eyes, your ears, everything is something called sensory memory. Now, its capacity is huge. It takes in everything, but it holds on to that info for an incredibly short amount of time. We're talking less than a second. It's just like that brief afterimage you see from a camera flash. And right here, this is the first critical filter. Out of that absolute fire hose of information hitting your senses, only the tiny little bit you actually pay attention to gets a ticket to the next stage. Everything else, it just fades away. Attention is basically the bouncer at the club door of your memory.
Now, anything that gets past that bouncer enters your short-term memory. You can think of this like your brain's RAM. It's quick, but it can only hold a few things at once for a really short time. In fact, a famous study called it the magical number 7 plus or minus 2 items. But if that information is important, it gets transferred over to your long-term memory. And that's like a massive hard drive with practically unlimited storage that can hold memories for your entire life.
But here's the cool part. This hard drive isn't just one giant, messy desktop folder. Nope, it's more like a huge, beautifully organized library with different wings for different kinds of knowledge. So let's take a quick tour, shall we? One of the biggest sections in this library is for your procedural memory. This is where you keep all your skills, the how-to stuff. You know how to ride a bike, right? But could you actually write down clear instructions for someone else? It's really hard. That's because it's a memory you show through action, not words.
Okay, so the other main section of the library is for your declarative memory. This is all your what knowledge, all the facts, the names, the events that you can consciously bring to mind and talk about, like who the first president was or what you did last summer. And even this part of the library has 2 main shelves. On one shelf, you've got episodic memory. This is your personal autobiography. All the episodes of your life, your first day of school, your last birthday, and all the feelings that go with them. Then on the other shelf, you have your semantic memory. This is your own personal encyclopedia of just facts about the world, like knowing Paris is the capital of France.
Okay, so if we have this incredible, highly organized library sitting in our heads, why do we still forget where we put our keys all the time? Well, it's time to do some debugging and look at the common glitches in the system.
Do you ever feel like you forget stuff almost as fast as you learn it? Yeah, you're not imagining it. There's this thing called the forgetting curve, and it shows that we lose information fastest right after we learn it. The good news is that the rate of forgetting does slow down over time.
So what's actually causing all this forgetting? Well, one of the biggest culprits is something called interference. Proactive interference is when your old memories get in the way of new ones. Think about it. If you already know English, some of those rules might actually make it harder to learn a new language like French. The old stuff is interfering with the new stuff. And yep, you guessed it, it works the other way around too. That's called retroactive interference. This is when new information makes it harder to remember old information. So after a few weeks in your new French class, you might actually struggle to remember an English word you used to know perfectly. The new learning is messing with the old.
But sometimes the memory isn't actually gone at all, you just can't get to it. This is called retrieval failure. The information is sitting there on a shelf in your long-term memory library, but it's like you've lost the library card. You just don't have the right clue to find it. This is that classic, frustrating tip of the tongue feeling.
All right, now for the really good news. Your memory isn't fixed hardware. You can absolutely install some powerful software upgrades. So let's look at a few practical, real-world strategies to make your memory system run a whole lot better.
Simple memory hacks called mnemonics are a fantastic place to start. Chunking is just grouping small bits of info into bigger chunks, like turning that long string of numbers into 2 easy-to-remember dates. And the first letter technique creates an acronym, like using VIB-GAYOR to remember the colors of the rainbow. They're just little tricks to give your brain a hook.
But honestly, the single most powerful upgrade you can make is to engage in what's called deep processing. Instead of just passively rereading a textbook, ask yourself questions. How does this connect to something I already know? Why is this important? The more you wrestle with the meaning of the information, the stronger and more durable that memory is going to be.
And if you want a more structured way to learn, this method is a total game changer. You preview the chapter by skimming the headings. Then you turn those headings into questions. Then you read to find the answers. After that, you self-recite, basically summarize it out loud to yourself. And finally, you test yourself a day later. This whole process forces that deep processing we were just talking about.
So, while we're all trying to upgrade our memories and fight back against forgetting, maybe there's a little bit of a silver lining. As Nietzsche said, maybe the beautiful imperfection of our memory is what lets us enjoy the good things in life over and over again as if it were the very first time. Makes you wonder, what's the real purpose of forgetting anyway?